Yo, what's going on? Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Welcome Home Dad. I'm your host, Terrence. Appreciate y'all for joining us again on this lovely day. Of course, you know, we got another fabulous guest with me here in the building. We're going to get to him here in a little bit, but you know, my favorite game of the day is going to be our random 5 questions. I actually took some time and picked out some particular questions according to Justin, just because I know him. I work with him as well here. But Justin, the game is top 5. It's random questions. You don't have to tell me why you choose them. You say yes or no, and then boom, we just go ahead and roll with it. My first one to you is going to be UFC or hockey? Hockey, all right. Favorite UFC fighter?
Ooh, I would have to say George St. Pierre.
George St. Pierre, all right. And I know we said we're not going to ask why, but
yes,
why is George St. Pierre your favorite fighter?
I would say because when I got into the UFC deeply, that he wasn't the champion yet, but he was on his way to the top.
All right.
So I got to basically see him develop, and he had quite a ride.
Gotcha. Yes, definitely did have a pretty good career. I'm pretty sure I've seen maybe 1 or 2 of his fights. I know I followed it for a little bit. Now at work, I call this guy the Muffin Man. We'll touch on that as we get to it, but this is the Muffin Man, just to let y'all know. Yes. Blueberry muffin or coffee cake?
Blueberry muffin.
I knew he was going to go with that. Also, there's another one that I'm picking on with. T-bone steak or ribeye?
Oh, I got to go with the ribeye.
All right. And then last but not least, Chevy or Ford?
Chevy.
All right, Chevy. Yes, sir. My man here is a Chevy, and I'm guessing you might have said that just because you were in the military, well, in the background of the Navy, correct?
Yes, Marine Corps.
All right.
But that's not why I said it. I own a Ford and I own a Chevy, and my Chevy was much better than my Ford.
Okay. Well, see, my dad was in the military. He said, do not ever pick Ford. Found on the road deadline was his whole major thing when they were in the military. But ladies and gentlemen, this is my friend Justin, aka Justin Hart, not related to Shawn Michael Carter Hart, you know, whatever that stomp was back in the WWE days. But we're going to go ahead and let Justin introduce himself, tell you about his journey, and then you already know we're going to go ahead and dig into some of his goals and some of his visions in life. Justin, go ahead and tell the people about you.
All right, so I'm Justin Hart. I'm 46. I have 2 children. I have a 17-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. And my wife is Hannah. And we are about to have our 20th anniversary. And is there anything else you want to say?
Oh, no, man. It's whatever you want to tell her. You know, whatever you want to tell me, whatever you want to tell the people out here that are going to be watching this episode. Like I said, I work here in Ocala with Justin. I've been working with this guy probably about 3.5 years now.
Is that all?
Yeah, that is all. It feels like we've been working in there for forever.
Yeah.
No, I don't even want to tell y'all because I don't even want to start. But Justin is a good man, and every time I've had to move, shout out to Justin and the moving squad. Justin has been there helping me move from time to time. So I've only had to move twice, so y'all don't judge me here. But Justin, like I said, good guy here. Definitely did not know he was 46. I mean, I do remember reading the profile, but definitely do not recall him being 46. So.
I usually try not to remember that either.
But like he said, he is a father of 2 children, 17-year-old daughter, and 9-year-old son. So Justin has obviously been married for going on 20 years with him and his wife. Now, for you, Justin, what are some things that you kind of, just to start your day, how do you start your day off in the morning, minus the work portion?
Okay, so I usually have my alarm set about 30 minutes before I need to get up. That way if I have to snooze, because I'm not feeling good or whatever, then I have some time to just kind of sit there and chill. I like to say a prayer, try to listen. I'm not doing too well with that, with the listening part to God lately, but I am trying. And then I get up, take a shower, get my lunch together, breakfast together, throw it in the lunchbox, and head off to work. Now, yeah, we get up really early, so we don't have unless I'm like you and I get up and go to the gym. I don't do that. I don't have those skills.
Gotcha. Everybody is not able to get up, and it's hard for me to get up to go to the gym at 2:30 in the morning. It is a struggle to hop out of that bed and get to it, but I get it done just because I don't want to work out in the afternoon. It's too hot, and I'm tired, ready to go to sleep. Now, one of the things I did want to touch on that you already brought it up, you said you get up, you pray, you try to listen to what God's having you to do. Now, as a Christian man, in your background too as well, when it comes to praying and listening to God, is it something that you're praying on, you're trying to get an answer from Him, or is it something that you feel that you should be doing that He hasn't kind of pointed you in that direction yet?
So it's both.
Okay.
For sure. There are times when I have questions, and there are times when, usually it's just trying to listen for His voice. It's a still small voice, and so it's hard to I wouldn't say it's hard to get it and discern it from everything else, but it's hard to shut off everything else so that you can hear Him. And so, yeah, trying to turn off everything else. Your brain's going how many ever miles an hour, and you have a family, and you have a life going on outside of just work, and the issues that we encounter as men. It seems so complex, and I don't know. I don't even know how to put it into words, but it's hard to shut my brain down from all of the stuff that's coming in, and so that I can better hear from Him.
Yeah, and that's understandable. I know for myself, I try to do my devotions on my break, and it's just too much because I'm trying to rush and read. Yeah. I'm trying to pray, and then it's like, well, I'm asking God for certain things. But I found in the morning time, it's easier for me to get my devotion in because nothing's going on. Right. Everything's quiet. Yes. Like you said, you want to hear from God. It's that small, still voice. I found out for myself, for me, if I pray about something, and I don't know if it happens for anybody else out there, when you pray for something, I go straight to the Bible, and it's like, boom, the answer is right there. Yes. So that's how I get my answer.
Definitely, that's what I started out. Well, technically, that's not true. So my dad brought me in a room and asked me a question, and said, listen, and try to hear God. And so I did that probably for, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes or so. But it finally came to the point I was like questioning my dad. I was like, I don't know what he's saying. I can't understand him versus me. I can't discern that. And he's like, well, is there anything, that's kind of odd? It's not, it's not the same thing, or it's different than what you would normally put in there. And there was, he said, come follow me. And I don't even speak that way, it's like, it's really weird. And I'm like, but I don't understand why he would say that. I'm already following him. Yeah. I've been following him. I gave my heart a long time ago, probably 3 or 4 years before that point. But as my dad said, you aren't really following him the way that he wants you to follow him. It's not about doing the don'ts or not doing the don'ts.
Yeah.
It's about doing the do's. And so that was my first experience. But yeah, after that, it was more so. But if you need to talk and you can't hear or discern the voice, then open up the Bible, ask your question, and start reading. And yes, every time I've got my answer.
Yeah.
Like specifically one time, I graduated high school. My sisters got me this little prayer journal devotion that had a scripture for every day. You know? And so I fell in love with a girlfriend, unfortunately, right before I was going into the Marine Corps. And so I was like, well, I was torn whether to go in or whether to stay back, because my recruiter asked me if I would go in like a week or 2 weeks early than my projected date that I was supposed to go in. So I asked my girlfriend. She was like, do whatever you want to do. And so I asked God, I prayed, and I opened up the prayer journal to the date that they wanted me to go. And the verse was cling to your mother. And then I opened up the date on the day that I was originally supposed to go, and it said go and conquer. And it was a Bible verse. Both of them were the Bible, even though I wasn't opening up technically the Bible, but it was still God speaking through that to me. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, it was obvious.
No, and it sounded like when you open up, it was like you have an option A or B, and it was like you picked one that said cling to your mother, but the other one was go and conquer.
Exactly.
So God is kind of, in a sense, God was saying, hey, I'm leaving this in your hand of picking whichever one you want to go with.
Right.
And obviously you went and, chose option B, go choose and conquer.
Right.
And I feel like there are people out there that go through the same thing now. It's just, there was even a moment in my life where it was like, I'm praying, I'm not hearing anything. And you're getting frustrated. Yeah. And it's kind of to that point where you're like, well, man, am I doing something wrong? Or God, you're not speaking to me, or maybe I'm not hearing you, and then you just get frustrated. But I mean, that's just a part of being a human. You're not getting the things that you want right then and there. So as you get older, you kind of figure out that, like your parents used to tell you, some things do take time. God's not going to always answer you right then and there, but he's going to make sure that you know what his answer is when he gives it to you. Now, when and I know you say your father was a pastor, so that was kind of your upbringing as you were.
As I was older, he wasn't a pastor until I was a teenager. So I didn't really grow up with a pastor. Didn't even really grow up in church. I was born in Illinois, and we moved down here to Florida when I was about 7, and we went to my grandpa's church a few times in Illinois. I can remember one specific time that we went to his church, but that's it.
Gotcha.
When we moved down here, we didn't go to church, and I don't think we went to church very often in Illinois because my dad kind of, I don't know, had a falling out.
Yeah.
If you will. I'm not sure. But I don't think we went to that church very often up there. But yeah, when we moved down here, we didn't go to church. And then when my sisters went to high school, I think they were invited to church. And then they invited us to go. And so we all went as a family. And we really enjoyed it. And it just went from there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, I heard you bring up sisters, quite a few. Now, how big is your family? Like your mom, dad, married for a long time, and everybody grew up in the same household?
Yes. So my mom and dad have been married for over 50 years now. I have 3 sisters, 2 older and 1 younger. And I had a brother who was the second one born, but he died of crib death. Like 6 weeks old, I think, like that. But yeah, they're still together. They're both still alive, and they both still fight like cats and dogs. They communication issues, same things that I have with my wife, unfortunately. Trying to grow past that.
Yeah.
But it's it's not easy. Let me tell you, marriage is a work in progress.
And you guys will be 20 years, correct? Coming up in August.
Yes.
Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, like you said, his mom and dad have been together for 50 years, so kudos to them. Him and his wife are coming up on 20 years, but one of the key words that I want to come into is communication, which obviously everybody needs to work on that. That includes myself. Obviously, y'all know I'm single, so I just want to make sure y'all know that I'm single. And I'm still learning how to communicate properly, whether it's with my daughters, their mom, people that I work with, people outside of work, and just basically when it comes to that. Now, what are some things that you and your wife have done to kind of hold y'all's marriage together? Because like I hear the thing about every day you guys got to wake up, you have to choose love. You have to continuously learn to love each other and keep that romance going. What are some things that y'all do?
Oh man, so we've done everything from counseling. We do the date thing, date night every so often. We try to sit down, have dinner together as a family, but with my son's karate and my daughter's cheerleading, it's so difficult to come home after karate's over and it's 7:30 at night, and his bedtime is literally 7:30. So to start cooking something at 7:30, and you got at least a half an hour of cooking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you want to actually have a meal, you're looking at an hour. It's not really doable. And then if my daughter has a basketball game or a football game, then you're talking about 9:30. You know what I mean? So
luckily for you, son, you get to stay up later.
You can stay up later on the summertime, but yeah, it's hard to sit down and have a meal together. But we do try. We make concerted efforts. We've been alternating, but she's been sick the past few weeks. So like maybe Monday and Wednesday, she'll take him to drums and to karate, and I'll go home and start dinner. That way we can have it ready whenever they come home.
Yeah.
And then we can sit down and eat. And then she'll do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays or whatever the case is. But it fluctuates because schedules are, they change every day practically. But yeah, we to try to keep that love in there. It's like I said, it's a work in progress, and I'm learning every day. But what you touched on, the communication, I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
I mean, to learn how to effectively communicate with anyone, not just your wife, with your children, with your boss, with everyone you come in contact with. I think that's one of the most important things, because that's one of the biggest things that I struggle with is to communicate effectively. I haven't been diagnosed or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure I have an inferiority complex. So my dad, when I was growing up, he was very strict. My mom was not strict at all.
Yeah.
Like, she just let us do pretty much whatever we wanted. Well, I'm gonna tell your dad whenever he gets home, you know what I mean? And so when my dad said something, I knew he meant it.
Yeah.
And when my mom said something, it's just like, okay, whatever. I ain't listening.
Like
you know what I mean? And so I respected my dad, and I loved my mom, but I didn't respect her. You know what I mean? And I don't know why I'm saying that, but going back to the communication aspect, I didn't feel comfortable communicating with my dad. Mm-hmm. It just seemed like he was on a different level, and I never seemed to get past that point.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I never really felt comfortable communicating to anyone. I guess just because of the interaction that I had with my father. Even though he completely changed and became a different person after he was saved, I never really, or after he became a pastor, I guess he was saved long before that, but I don't know.
I mean, I think it's just because of the fact of, like how you were saying, when your dad says something, it's like it's like, hey, dad said this, so I know that means that's what it is. When it comes to your mom, it's like, I'm gonna just keep on trying her until she finally gets on me or says, I'm gonna tell you, dad.
Right.
But what you said earlier was you didn't feel like you could go to your dad with certain things just because you looked at him in a certain light, in the toughness aspect, I'm assuming. And then when it came to your mom, it was just like even though, like you said, you didn't respect some of the stuff that she told you to cut out and stop doing, but it's like your mom was like that safety net. So you could probably go and talk to her and tell her some things that were bothering you. And I mean, that's just, even now, I'm pretty sure it's the same way. It might not be the same way with their kids because you want to create that safe environment. Right. Like my dad, he was the disciplinary one, so I know he's not going to come. I mean, I know I'm not going to go to him and say, hey, dad, such and such is going on in my life, blase, blase. But in order to break that cycle, I decided to switch it up with my daughter. So I did the whole, I'm still the stern parent, but I always let her know that at the end of the day, you can still come to me and talk to me about certain things. But like I say, we just have to learn how to balance everything out.
Yeah, I say that, but I don't know how to really live that out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I tell my kids, I want you to come talk to me. Please come and talk to me. But I don't know how to create that safe environment because I don't know of how I was brought up, the way my dad was, the way my mom was. And my mom, I don't know if it was because my brother died, she never really recovered from that. You know what I mean? She never really was able to get counseling or deal with it. And so she was in our lives, but she was in a book. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She had her coffee or her tea and her cigarettes and a book. And she was in that pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Unless she was working. And so she wasn't really present even though she may have been there. But when my dad was there, he was present.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was there, but he was on such a, it seemed like he was on such a higher level that it was like, I don't rate to talk to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just now that I'm still trying to deal with.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, those are some things that we all have our different traumas, and we all want to break our cycles. And obviously, we're still human, so we're still learning and growing every day. Now, it still all comes back to communication and learning how to talk effectively. Now, would you say that you're working on that? I know you said that you're not, it's hard for you to kind of create that environment for your kids, but is that something that you're trying to incorporate into your life where they can open up and come and speak with you about things?
Yeah, my wife is really good because she's like opposite of me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so she grew up, her dad was a pastor, and her parents are very lenient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I won't say that she's spoiled rotten brat, but I mean, they were very lenient. And so, but they were able to communicate. Her dad, for the most part, was able to communicate with her effectively. And so with her college and everything, she's able to try to talk to me about, hey, don't say this, say it this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hate the idea of, they have feelings. You have to, get your feelings out. Let's talk about your feelings. And I'm like, nah, I didn't grow up that way.
Oh, man.
But I will say that it is important and it is a part of life. Yes, us men especially, there's a lot of things that we just have to deal with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just get over it, suck it up, and move on. But I think that dealing with feelings is very important as well.
Oh yeah,
you know what
always,
I mean?
man.
I think if you can learn how to communicate your feelings in an effective manner, then you're going to be able to your wife is going to be able to understand you better. You're going to be able to understand her better, and you're going to be able to come to a common ground easier if you are able to communicate effectively about your feelings, about why you are angry about this whenever she does that, or whatever the case is. If you can communicate through it, through it, then you're going to be able to grow a lot quicker in your marriage. You're going to be able to get over a lot more speed bumps, so to speak, in your marriage a lot faster, in my opinion.
Yeah, y'all hear that, ladies and gentlemen. Communication, and also remember, everybody has feelings out there. Whether you're a tough guy or you're the nicest person in the world, always remember, people have feelings. But I wanted to touch some more questions here before we wrap things up. Just in regards, I know you guys, like you said, you want to respect each other, communication. Now, do you guys do any devotions or anything praying together when it comes to, if you ever have any like a disagreement, do you guys have anything where you come together, sit down, pray on things, and go from there?
So, I mean, that's a whole nother story, my friend. So she's the Lutheran background, and I'm non-denominational, or I grew up like, I got saved in the Assembly of God. My dad's dad was a Baptist, but she is very Lutheran.
Okay.
And so I don't get down that way, if you will. I'm not into tradition. I'm not into religion, but she very much is, and okay. So when we talk about God, it can get heated really quick. You know what I mean?
Like some World War III type of stuff.
Yeah, it's so weird, and I hate it because God is my passion. I want to talk about God so bad. You know what I mean? And yet, I can't hardly talk about God with my wife without it becoming an issue. And then when it is an issue, then it'll be like, okay, well, let's calm down, come back later and talk about it, discuss it, or, you look this verse up and study it and get back to me about what you receive on it or not. And she'll never get back with me. I mean, I don't know if it's because she just don't care. I don't know if it's because she doesn't have time. I don't know if it's because she's not interested. I don't know if it's because she just don't want to communicate with me. But I don't want to water down her faith. I don't want to make her question her faith. So I don't really want to get into God with her that much if that's not the way the Spirit's leading, and I feel like that's what's going on.
No, I mean
that makes sense.
No, I understand what you're coming from. I just, like, for me, myself personally, and I know you say you guys are, when it comes to certain subjects, especially when it comes to God, that you guys try to find some balance. That's the most important thing, that you guys still try to find some balance and still be able to come together, whether it's through prayer or just being cordial, sitting down and talking.
Yes.
Like I was referring to with the communication at the end of the day, that's always what's really important. Now, outside of marriage, who is Justin? Is Justin out in the community mentoring somebody or just trying to help other people? What are some things that you do to try to help the people that are around you, besides helping me move all the time?
So when I was earlier in my marriage, I was a youth minister for my dad's church up until all the youth basically graduated. Yeah. And the church kind of split, and so it didn't grow any after that. And so the church, it's still there, but it's very, very small. It's only old people. So there wasn't any more youth to mentor. I went to college, and in college, I had a couple come and talk to us in my Diversities for Educators class, and they were mentoring youth over there behind Howard Middle School.
Yeah.
And they had an awesome story of, God in their lives and telling them, hey, go and get this drug house, take it over, and tutor children in this house. And so there was a great story, and I was all in. So when I would get off of work, I would go over there and I would help tutor the children over there for an hour or so after I got off of work, or if I didn't have college. And then the GI Bill ran out, so I couldn't go to college anymore, and it was really, really difficult on my family because going to work full time and doing the youth ministry, and then trying to go to college, and it was just too much.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It sounds like
I'm trying to raise a family.
A lot on your plate right there.
And so it was almost like I just shut all that other stuff off and was like focusing on my family. Mm-hmm. And so it's been that way probably for the most part for the last 10 years. Unless somebody says, hey, can you help me do such and such? Like I volunteer at the church, I do the streaming at the church and things like that. But for the most part, I'm an introvert, so I don't put myself out there. Yeah. You know what I mean? But if anybody needs help and they say something to me, I'm like you said, I'm gonna go help you move if you need help moving. Whoever, whatever, I'll try to be there if I can.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like you said, even as myself, I have to learn when I have too much on my plate, and you have to realize what's important at the end of the day. And working, going to school, trying to be involved in the ministry, and being a father, husband. I know that's like the whole shebang put in one. Now, when it comes to just, we've talked about work, talked about marriage, and obviously touched on some background of the family history here. What are some things that Justin, wants to do for his life in the future, like down the road? What are some things that you see yourself trying to accomplish?
So I want to continue to try to work on communicating effectively. That's definitely a work in progress. And I also in continuously trying to work on counseling with my wife and myself, because we're still going through struggles that for the most part I brought on to our relationship. I don't know if you want to get into that, but so for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, I was tempted. I was watching YouTube and I saw a video, and this girl started taking off her clothes, and so I was like, oh, I want to see more of that.
Yeah. So
I went to a site and to look it up and whatnot, and I got caught up in it for a couple of weeks or a month or whatever, and I pulled myself out of it, and for whatever reason, I mean, I don't know why, but I thought I had closed the things out of my phone.
Yeah. Right.
But apparently, whenever I like swipe it up, it doesn't take it off. It just
disappears
to the side or something.
Yeah.
And so we were on vacation, and I don't know, I was trying to look up something while I was driving on my phone of something I had seen before. And my wife's like, well, do you want me to look for it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so she started deleting all these things, and then it got to those eventually, and she was like, oh. And so that traumatized her, and we've been dealing with that. I think that's been like 5 years now, 6 years almost. And so that's put a really big issue in our marriage, because that trust was broken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I went to somebody else, even though, I didn't do anything with that stuff. I just looked at it. It didn't matter. It's still, I went to someone else instead of to my wife.
Yeah.
And it broke a trust, and it really hurt our relationship.
Nah, and well, first off, it definitely applaud you for even, saying that, because most people would even be, and I know we want to be raw and real on this show, most people would be, a little like kind of timid with certain things that they say, and like I said, I appreciate you for even letting the world know that. And like you said, even though you didn't do anything, it still breaks the part of the trust that it comes between y'all's bond.
Right.
And I'm not a therapist or anything like that. And you said it's been about 5 years since that whole thing went down. Shoot, man, like I say, trust is hard to gain, but it's really easy to lose.
Yes.
And I know, like you said, you guys are working on that stuff right now, and you're building that bond back up, and things do take time.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever the same after something's been broken, but at the end of the day, at least you guys are still putting that effort in and working on that.
Better.
Yeah, man. So that's all that. And like I said, we always want to improve. And whether that incident happened or not, it's just, you still always want to gradually keep improving. And that's what we want to do as we grow in life and become older and wiser. And I know for myself personally, it was some things that, even for my relationship in the past with my kid's mother, I broke some trust too as well. So like I tell everybody, nothing's ever just one person's fault. Everybody's got some stuff in their life that they've done. You just have to own up to it. But for me and Justin here, he, like I said, Justin, I've known him for about 3.5 years. Great guy, really helpful. And I know, Justin, you don't have any social media, if I'm going to say yes. So
no.
Justin has no social media, so another kudos for that. That's another subject anybody can touch on. But like I said, Justin is a great man, good father. Definitely always, every time I hear about him, he's taking his son to something for karate. This man ought to be the black belt of the world as much as karate as he is. But definitely shout out to him. And we want to give another shout out to Justin Hart, like you said, here in Ocala, Florida. I'm Terrence. I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. He is, and Justin, like I said, I really appreciate this man for coming on here. He was part of the vision when I first wanted to start up with Welcome Home Dad. And he really encouraged me to go ahead and step into the plate and start this. And like he was saying, communication, being honest, and working on yourself and improving are key components to one, marriage life, and then also two, as a human growing, as like I said, as we get older and want to continue to help the other people around us. That's all the time that we have for today, guys. If you want to be a part of the show, or if you have an email that you would like for me to read, send it over to welcomehomedad1989@gmail. Once again, that's welcomehomedad1989@gmail.com. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions that you would like to send over to me, leave that in the comment section or send that over to the email. Please subscribe. Once again, that's welcome_home_dad. Sorry about all those underscores, but y'all know how it is out there. Once again, I'm Terrence. This is Justin. We're out.